So first what I did was I just folded a piece of A3 paper in half, like so. And then what you want to do is you want to draw a big circle onto one side of the paper, and I just used a compass to do this, but you could also just trace around something like a bowl or a plate, for example. And then what I did was I drew a smaller circle in the middle, and then I just drew on the ears, and by the way, I'm just using this image here for help or as reference. So now moving on to the next step. So next what I did was I drew on the details such as the ears, the face and the drizzle, and I also drew on the frosting, at least I think that's what it's called. And again, I'm just using these images here as reference. And I think it turned out really good. So now moving on to the next step. So next what I did was I coloured the donut and the ears using a yellow pencil, and you want to colour it quite lightly so that it doesn't look too bright. And then what I did was I used an orange pencil for the ears and the tummy, I think that's what it's called. So now moving on to the next step. So next what I did was I coloured in the eyes, the mouth and the drizzle using a light brown pencil, and then I went over it using a black pencil since the brown was still a little bit too light. And then I just used a light pink pencil for the blush. So now moving on to the next step. So next what I did was I coloured some of the frosting using a pink pencil, and also, as you can see, I did leave some parts white to create the sprinkles, as you can see. And then what I did was I just drew on the rest of the sprinkles using a yellow, brown and pink pencil. And again, I just used the images as reference. So now on to the next step. So next what I did was I drew on the lines on the ears and the tummy using my brown pencil. And I know they didn't turn out very good, but that's okay. So now on to the next step. So next what I did was I covered the whole thing with clear tape, as you can see. And I think it looks really good. So now we can start cutting this out. So here it is once I've finished cutting it out. So now you should have two separate pieces. And I also cut out the hole in the middle, as you can see. So now moving on to the next step. So next what I did was I went ahead and I drew on the drizzle and the frosting onto the other side of the squishy. And then once you've done that, you can start colouring this in. So I'm just going to do that. So next what I did was I coloured the back of the donut yellow, and then I just went over it using a brown pencil to create more of a tan colour. And then I just went ahead and I coloured in the frosting and also drew on the sprinkles, and then I just coloured in the drizzle using a brown pencil, and again I went over it using a black pencil just to make it a little bit more darker. So now on to the next step. So next what I did was I covered the other side of the squishy with clear tape. And then what I did was I started to tape the two pieces together just using some more clear tape. And this can be quite fiddly, so just take your time on this part. And then what I did was I just took a plastic bag and I just cut it up into smaller pieces, and I just put it inside of the squishy, as you can see. And then I just moved it around using a pencil. So that's what it looks like. So now moving on to the final step. So once you've finished adding in the plastic bag, lastly what you want to do is you just want to tape up the opening. So what I did was I just placed a piece of tape on the edge of the squishy, and then I just cut some slits, as you can see, and then you just want to fold them down like so. And I forgot to mention that you want to do this for the whole thing, basically. And then once you've done that, your squishy is finished. And I think this turned out pretty good. And again, I know it didn't turn out the best, but I'm still getting better at making paper squishies. I think the face turned out really cute, and it is quite squishy. So I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and as always, please feel free to request any more squishy tutorials you'd like me to do in the comments below. And also please feel free to request some more paper squishy tutorials as well. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed, and thank you so much for watching. Bye bye!